Hey, everybody. This is Scott Offord with the Crypto Mining Tools Podcast, and we have our co host, Ethan Zerka, with
Hey
us,
everyone, Ethan here.
and he's going to introduce our guest today.
Yes, today we have Juan. I'm sorry if I can't pronounce your last name correctly. I'm just going to go for it. It's Pinto,
Yeah, it's Pinto.
Juan Pinto. And you are located where, Juan?
Caracas, Venezuela.
Awesome.
Yeah. I mean, one of the places that nobody wants to be, but it's actually really, really nice to be. People don't know that yet.
Yeah, help us understand a little bit about that. So, we only can see what the media tells us about your country. And, you're a living witness. You're actually there on the ground. You can, give us maybe a different perspective than just what the media does. The media likes to kind of shock people or say the worst of things, to get people's attention. And, oftentimes we have to, understand that, a lot of people in America don't understand that actually. And that's kind of a big problem is they take the news as an absolute truth and don't understand that it's kind of been spin or there's a twist to it to make it more extreme than it actually is. So yeah, tell us your perspective, your side.
Yeah, it will take me like 3 hours to tell you this, but I will try to summarize as much as I can.
Okay.
I don't really know the purpose of why the media try to enhance things in such a way. I mean, what's happening here, there really is a crisis that started already like 4 years ago, but the climax, the euphoria of the crisis, let's say, happened 2 years ago. And after that, we kind of reached the bottom and we've been staying like on the ground, asleep, let's say, in a way. People have left the country, around 5 million people, which is a lot. Some people say it's even 6 million. And but I was outside too. I lived in Madrid in 2018, last year. I spent all last year outside Venezuela. And when I came back at the beginning of this year, in February, I realized that many things changed. And I saw the difference from how it was in 2017. And then I saw that the news kept saying the same thing when I started noticing that the security issues weren't as high as before. I was able to be on the street, let's say, with more calm than before. But I don't know what the reason is, why they say this. Even my family who's living outside, they speak to me all the time, like if I'm going to die every day, like, how do you survive? How do you eat? And that's not really what's happening. I mean, after they release the currency, now there's free circulation of the dollar in the country. Before it was restricted. So that was the main reason why there was so much scarcity on the restaurants or in the marketplaces. It was very difficult to find things. But now that the dollar was released, it was a natural behavior of the economy. I think it has nothing to do with politics, and I'm not involved with politics at all. I'm just talking from the economics perspective. The country has improved in that sense. You can find stuff, even though now you have to pay in like the real price of things, because before you were able to buy things 10 times lower than the international prices. Now prices are at international level, so most people cannot afford it. But that's part of the recovery of the economy. You cannot just wake up and be perfect immediately. It's like a step-by-step process, and people will have to suffer the changes to be able to reach a better future for the economy, or a better future for the families and their lives.
Yeah. So Juan, I have a question for you. Specifically regarding mining. We could talk a little bit about Doctorminer later, but
yeah,
how do you see mining helping the Venezuelan people?
Well, I'm trying not to be biased with my response, but I do think that mining is one of the main activities that can really help the Venezuelan economy to recover, and the infrastructure of most of the main basic services like the transportation, electricity. There's huge electricity problems here with the network, and I suppose you have heard the news. We have had blackouts, national blackouts of more than a week, which is something unbelievable.
Yeah,
also, water. There's a lot of water issues. I mean, many houses in the country have no access to direct water services, hydric services. And I do think mining, it's very important for us and for the economy, because it creates a new way to transform our natural resources, the natural wealth that we have, that is well known to be very big. It's one of the biggest in the world in oil, gas. We have a huge electricity infrastructure of gas turbines to take advantage of that resources, but we have never been able to monetize it or to benefit from it, because the only way to use it was just to export the oil in barrels to other countries, and that is subject to sanctions, as it's happening now. And right now we cannot benefit from it, and the industry has really been destroyed in a way, because if we cannot export it, and in Venezuela we actually give it for free. I don't know if you've heard, electricity here is free. Fuel, you can fuel the tank of your car, and you can pay with a cigarette with it, and it's a lot.
Wow.
I mean, you can just fill your tank and just drive away, and you don't pay for it, and it's okay. I mean, you just give tips to the guy
That's
who
wild. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
one,
a big issue. Yeah.
One thing I'm wondering, so why are those blackouts happening?
The reason why the blackouts are happening is because electricity is free. So if people don't pay for electricity, if there's no value on the energy, why do you care to maintain the generation resources? You have a turbine that you need to spend thousands of dollars every month, and you get zero every month in return for the energy that turbine produces. That's the reason why. I mean, there should be a way to monetize or to regain value for the energy that is produced, because it's huge hardware that is installed there, needs to be maintained. And that's what mining gives. Mining is the first activity ever to provide value to energy. And I think this activity can really change the way Venezuela see his natural wealth and its economy. It's like a new road or a new motor for the economy, this activity, as it gives value to energy. And if you give value to energy, you give value to your natural resources like oil and gas again. We're not able to export gas, for example. We don't have the infrastructure to export gas. We have sources of gas everywhere being wasted every time, that with mining now you can go and take advantage from it and monetize it and use it to recover hospitals, education. And that's something that's difficult to see, because everywhere, even here in Venezuela, and I know in the United States it's the same, and everywhere in the world, people see mining as a wasting activity, because it's the easy way to do. And it's the first thing you see. It's a machine that consumes energy, so it's very wasteful. You do this like if you were a rat, robbing energy, and when in fact it's completely the opposite. You're giving value to energy that is otherwise wouldn't be wasted. And that's what we're trying to do here. There's many places where there are energy resources being wasted, not used, that we can go there, monetize it, and use that money to recover other sources of energy that are connected to people, that can provide energy to hospitals, schools, houses.
Are cryptocurrencies being used to make payments to purchase goods in your country? Are people using that in a very real way?
Yeah, so you can even buy cups, like Scott's cups, with Bitcoin in Venezuela in some shops. There are places, many places here where you can pay officially with cryptocurrency. There's actually a national cryptocurrency called Petro. I don't know if you heard about it.
Yeah,
it's trying to be pushed by forcing companies to pay salaries of their employees in Petros. And some shops are forced to give the option for the client to pay with Petros. But not only Petro, there you can also pay with Bitcoin in places with Dash. Dash is the most popular one.
Okay, Dash
shops, because of they provide like the infrastructure with the devices and stuff. It's more friendly user for shop owners.
Friendly.
Yeah, and in terms of people, everybody here uses Bitcoin. I mean, local Bitcoins is like, I think Venezuela is one of the highest used. Is the country with local Bitcoin is used the most per capita. I mean, every time I use it every day, even my friends and everybody that I know that lives here are familiar with local Bitcoins, because you can transform Bitcoins into Bolivars very quickly. And you can protect from the devaluation of the Bolivar, which, as you can see, as you know, it has. This year, I arrived in Venezuela and it was like 15,000 Bolivars per $1. Right now, it's almost 50,000. So it's like 4 times more expensive. It has devalued a lot, so you cannot just leave your money in Bolivar because it will half like Bitcoin in 2020, like the reward. So you use Bitcoin as a store of value. You use Bitcoin like to protect against
Sure.
the devaluation of the Bolivar, and you also have access to exchange it for Bolivar. I mean, whenever you want. So it's very convenient.
On demand. Right.
Right.
So can you walk us through the process? So I know one of the things that's kind of been a challenge for adoption here in the United States is, everybody has to have a phone in order to make payments, so they can, show their QR code and they can get it scanned. I know maybe in Venezuela, it's not possible for everyone to have a phone. Maybe it's not even practical because, there might not be a cell tower anywhere around. So how are payments being made without kind of using a smartphone in Venezuela?
Oh, okay. In fact, you do need a phone,
Okay.
even though, it's still necessary. But it might surprise you. But here in Venezuela, the people who lives here, whatever is happening, they always want to be on the top of technology. I mean, we're a very trendy country. Whenever a new iPhone is released, everybody wants to have it. I mean, not everybody have the money to get it, but we're a very trendy country. I don't know how to explain, but everybody. I mean, you can have no food in your fridge, but you have the latest smartphone. That's very common here. So not everybody has it. Of course, there's. I mean, I don't want to say that everybody here has the money to get one. But the people who have and the minimum to have one, they will buy it, and they will then find a solution for the food and for the transport. But they will have it
as long as they have that phone first, right?
That's the way it works here. I mean, I don't know if there are Venezuelans listening to me right now, but they will. I know they will agree with me. It's a very strange behavior that we have here, and so. But the people who doesn't have smartphone, then they can ask friends to do it for them, to store the Bitcoins for them. I do have some friends here who. It's not that they don't have smartphones, but they don't know how to use it. But so they just tell me, manage it for me, and whenever they want it, I send it to them so they can change it or they can pay for it. But I mean, it's not something. It's very different to the United States because we have no option than to use it. We're forced to use it. It's the best solution. It's the only way to survive. And I say this 2 years ago in a meeting that I had with another podcast of Katie Vogt. The Wire magazine, and I told her exactly the same. I mean, it's not that we are the best crypto-friendly country. It's just that it's a solution for us. It's practical. It's convenient for us to use it. So we'll find a way to use it.
Yeah. All right, we got to take a little break here, and we have to mention our sponsor, NovaBlock. They're a mining pool. Ethan, why don't you tell us a little bit about them?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely would like to, say thank you to our sponsor, NovaBlock. They launched here in, August of 2019. And within 4 short months, they became one of the top 15 public mining pools in the world. And their goal is to, help decentralize the hash rate. They see, as miners and mining facilities are moving from China to other regions in the world, specifically North America, they believe that North America will be a leader in helping decentralize the mining landscape and help it, move out from China. They, have a deep philosophy of, increased transparency and educating the customer so, they can make the pool choice that's right for them. And I think it's awesome.
Yeah. And so a specific call to action today, if you go to novablock.com, you can enter, when you sign up in the top right-hand corner of the website, enter the invitation code OFFORD18, OFFORD18. And you can also talk with Vincent there at NovaBlock. His email is vincent.v@novablock.com. And you can see if you can qualify for that permanent reduction. So if you have a lot of hash rate, you might be able to get it lower, but they're offering a permanent reduction to 1.8% pool fee for life. And so this promo is available until January 20th. And if you sign up now, enter OFFORD18 when you're prompted.
Yeah, I mean, give it a shot, guys. What do you have to lose, right?
Yeah. So back to you, Juan. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Doctorminer and where you guys came from, how you got started, and what you guys do now?
Well, we started around 4 years ago. We just bought a mining rig. We actually sold our bikes. Theo and me, we're two founders. We sold our bikes just to try to test the hardware and to see how it worked. We paid for a guy. I mean, he asked us for our bikes to teach us how to assemble the rig, connect to the Claymore, because we were using Ether on that time. Actually, I started mining Zcash then, but it was just like a hobby for us, and it was actually very dangerous because of the, I don't know how to explain it, but before there was a misunderstanding with the activity, and because it was not legal or legal, the police was doing whatever they wanted with it, and they were taking people's not only hardware but also the money that they have mined. They even have the wallets, and they gave you their wallets for you to give them your money. So it was a very dangerous activity for us at the beginning, and we remained silent. We helped our friends. We started selling the rigs to friends and family, and then one of our friends had another friend who had a bigger order, and then we started growing and growing until one day one of our clients got in trouble, and we decided to stop the activity. That was around 2017, and right before the bubble, and we needed to stop. And then we got like a little bit, we can say, scared, maybe because of the prosecution that was happening with the miners here. We left. That's why I left. I left at the beginning of 2018. That's why I lived in Madrid by that year. But then during that time, I started reading on the news that everything changed. The opinion shifted. The government realized that cryptocurrency was in fact a solution for the country with the sanctions and stuff. And they legalized mining. They opened up exchanges. They created petro cryptocurrency. And we kept working from outside. I kept working from Spain. My partner Theo was also in Spain, and we were kind of advisors of the institution regulating cryptocurrency here in Venezuela. We were kind of suggesting them stuff because we had some more experience. People knew a little bit about us there, and we came back I came back at the beginning of this year because we had projects to start deploying that vision that I'm having, which is converting some of our resources, energy resources, into money and invest it somewhere else to reconstruct most of the damaged infrastructure, electricity infrastructure here. So we are, for example, building mining farms near turbines generation that are actually working, and we use that energy to transform it into money with mining, and use that money to fix other turbines that are not working. So that's kind of the vision that we have here, and that's what we've been doing during this year in several places, and we are continue working on that. I do have hope on this activity as a motor for the recovery of our economy and the recovery of the country.
And so are you guys?
Yeah.
Are you guys mostly providing colocation hosting services, or are you self-mining?
Yeah, so we started doing hosting at the beginning for a very important client, the first client that we had, who believed in us from the beginning. I mean, when I traveled back to Venezuela, he told us that whatever we wanted, he was going to help us with our vision, which is, I don't know if you heard about Panda Miner. It's a Chinese company which worked with us since the beginning, and they believed in Venezuela since the beginning. The owner of Panda Miner actually traveled here almost at the same time I came, and he sent us machine, and he helped us building farm infrastructures at the places where we found it was strategic to build. And at the beginning, we were just hosting machines for him, but as we were growing, we started buying our own hardware. We started growing with clients. Our clients started investing in us, and so right now what we're doing is building farms from clients and operating farms for those clients, and building our own farms and running our own hardware. And in the future, we're planning to do hosting for clients too, but we prefer not to do hosting services unless it's our own mining farm, And so as we don't have our own farms yet built, we're waiting for us to grow a little bit more to offer services, proper services to international clients. So right now we're
want to
just
be able
building
to
farms
control
for
that a
clients.
little bit better.
Yeah.
You want to be able to offer something that you know that you're in charge of the infrastructure.
Exactly.
It's not somebody else's, and you can manage the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean there are many places here where you can start a mining operation, but as I tell you, the electricity infrastructure here is not stable at all. You're like kind of gambling that there's going to be energy every day. So whenever I build a farm, I try to comply with the technical requirements of the energy service. I try to give back money to the energy company, because here you still can mine here and pay zero because electricity is free.
Mhm.
So for me, that's not sustainable. That's not a long-term approach, because it can happen for 1 month, 2 months, and in 3 months, maybe you are disconnected from the grid permanently. So I prefer to be in a place where I can guarantee an energy service, a stable energy service for long-term service, for long-term contracts, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. So that's why I decided to build my own infrastructure strategically in order to offer services to international clients. Yes.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about the infrastructure you've helped to maintain and rebuild? How many turbines to date have you successfully been able to bring back online, or keep maintained on a regular basis? Like, and give us an idea of how that benefits just beyond the crypto mining space and keeping your miners running, how that's helping other people in your country and keep the lights on and keep industry going and things like that.
Yeah, I'm going to give you an example. For example, one of the mining farms that we built in cooperation with the local institutions there in Lara Estate, it's called. You can Google it up later. And that farm is connected to a gas turbine facility. There's 4 gas turbines there, 20 megawatt each. When I arrived there, before we connected the farm to the turbine, to the facility, out of the 4 turbines, there was only 1 running. So the other 3 were stopped due to maintenance or some breakdowns or something. And the one that was running was only running at 50% of its capacity, or even less. Instead of 20 megawatts, it was at like an 8 megawatt potential. So what we did is we started finding out what was happening. We did like a kind of a research, and we saw that the reason why it was running at so low capacity is because it was supposed to receive maintenance every 20,000 hours. And because it was the only turbine running, they weren't able to stop it to do maintenance to it. So it had stayed like 60,000 hours running. That's why it needed to be stopped to be fixed. So what we did is we proposed the idea to connect our mining farm to that turbine, not to the full capacity, the 8 megawatt. We only needed 2 megawatts of the turbine for 2-3 months. And we were going to pay for that energy, and the money that we will receive for that energy was going to be enough to fix the turbine beside it, the other 20 megawatt turbine. And once they fix it, they can turn it on and turn off the one that was on right now, do maintenance to it. And so that they will have 2 turbines at 20 megawatt capacity and go from 8 megawatt to 40 megawatts, which is a lot for a state that only consumes around 300. We're talking about more than 10% increase in capacity. So that's kind of a small example of what we want to do nationally in every state, like to recover all that infrastructure that each state has in order to make them a little bit more independent from the main source that I know that it's a hydroelectric source called Guri. It's the 3rd largest in the world. But since 2010, Guri hasn't been enough for the consumption of the country. So since that day, we needed to start building gas turbines on each state, so that each state has like a backup source to reduce load on the main source. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to recover those backup sources on each stage, so that we can do maintenance to the main source. And this is like the idea for us to recover the electric system and make it as robust as it was intended to be, one of the most robust electric systems in the continent. We have oil and gas generation capacity installed in Venezuela is larger than whole South America combined. You combine all gas turbine generations in all South American countries, and Venezuela has larger than all of them combined, which is
Wow.
extremely high. And we also have the Guri, which is the third hydro power dam in the world. The only problem is that they need maintenance. But how do you do maintenance to them if they don't
You're
produce
making no money? Yeah.
With mining, they do make money. And most of the solutions, and that's something that I say every time to I don't know. I mean, if you Google it up, there is ONG organizations. I don't know if you heard about the CAF, which is a very large organization that helps undeveloped countries to recover and stuff. They are assigning money to Venezuela and other countries, and especially Venezuela, to recover the electricity system, to help people, to help hospitals that are run out of energy, and so there's patients that are suffering there because of that. And the solutions that they propose, everybody's proposing the same. They go to the wrong sources of energy. Where are the problems? Where are the turbines that are not working? Okay, so we're going to invest all those millions of dollars to fix this. And my approach is completely different. I go to the sources that are still working, that are still
find
functioning.
something that you
And
can
when I
start
find
with.
it's working, with this source, I can make money to fix the other sources.
And add,
I don't need to raise money to fix this. I prefer to use that money to build more hospitals, to build more places to produce food, to rebuild the agricultural infrastructure. Instead of, if you already have the infrastructure, you go to the sources that are working, you monetize it using proof of work, using Bitcoin mining, and you use that money to fix the other sources. It's a sustainable solution. But it's difficult to make them understand. We're kind of two currents going in different directions, with the same goal, with different approaches, but at the end we will see which one brings more value to the country.
Yeah.
You were
I have a question for you. What is something that you need right now? Obviously, it's difficult for people in the United States to work with Venezuela today because of the sanctions. But like, let's say somebody in Canada or somebody in some other part of the world, what could they do to help you guys right now?
Well, the main thing will be to help us build the infrastructure near the sources. We have already do the work. We have spent the whole year traveling around the whole country, every place where we think there is energy potential, where we can take advantage of it and use it to help the country, to really help the country. So we find those places, and it's not just like, okay, I found the place, let's transform that into money. No, you need to build the mining infrastructure, which will be mining containers for some places, depending how remote they are, or can be just mining farms on that places, depending on the climate. For example, there's a place in the north of Venezuela, very strategically, very strategic. We plan to use it in next year, the beginning of next year. And there are huge energy resources there that are connected to one of the largest oil refineries in the world, which is like there are 3 oil refineries connected that produces the fuel that can be used by the turbines to produce the energy that will be transformed into money with the miners. So that's like, for me, it's like a no-brainer. It's a huge solution. It's also like pretty to explain, because you have like a solution from the top that you are feeding the country all the way down and helping all the people living below, because up there's not many people living there. It's just industrial infrastructure there that we can, with mining, rebuild and make it a money converter or a money maker to help people down there suffering from electricity problems, water problems, food problems, housing problems, health problems, all those problems that are true, that you were asking me from the beginning, the media enhance, that are really happening, but that can be helped with this activity. I mean, we can really improve from within. We don't need help from anybody else, because that's what proof of work promotes. Like, on each place, you can transform the natural wealth into money. You can kind of print money in the Bitcoin way and use it down there. So the help that we will need from international investors is to help us build that infrastructure in those strategic places, like the one I'm telling you in the north. It's called Falcon State. You can Google it up, to is to help us build infrastructure that make that vision possible. We will still do it, even if we don't receive help or leverage from international investors, because they're all scared to invest here, and I understand it, and there's no way for me to change their mind. I'm betting on this, and I believe this is possible. I'm running this idea, I'm running this project, even if I don't have the leverage from them, and still do it, even if it's with my own money, even if I have to go stone by stone, even if it takes me years, because I know it's possible, and I know someday, and I know in the future, if I create the first solution and I prove it works, even though I already built one in Lara State, but if I do it also in Falcon State, people will start noticing, people will see I build things, and they start believing in it, and then it can grow faster than it is now. But I still do it. I will still do it.
So, Juan, other than money, what's something very practical and physical that you could use? For example, a transformer, a generator, a turbine.
It's actually not money. I mean, if you send me money, I will use the money just to buy the mining infrastructure, which will be transformer, electric cables, circuit boards. The racks for the miners can be the fans in case I use air cooling, which is something that is not switchable in every place here. For example, in Falcon State, we have the problem of salinity, I think you say in English, in the air. There's too much salt in the air. There's a lot of corrosion with the machines. I mean, we have already tried to mine near the beach, and it's really difficult here near the Caribbean Sea. And that place needs, and it's mandatory to use immersion system. And we have already been in contact with the immersion system team that we met in Las Vegas, thanks to Scott, by the way. And that's one of the things I will need. I mean, if somebody says to me, okay, I will buy the immersion system for you, I will send the tanks to you, I'm more than welcome. I don't need the money. Just send me the immersion tanks, or send me the pumps, or send me the transformer, so that I'm able to make this idea a reality, and make this dream a reality. That I know it's going to happen. But yeah, rather than money, it can be electric stuff. It can be ventilation stuff or cooling stuff, like the immersion system.
Okay.
Juan, just you said things have really changed significantly since you left and since you've now returned. Can you maybe paint a picture? And I know predicting the future is difficult, but from where you stand, your perspective, what do you see happening in the next 12 to 24 months, the next 1 to 2 years?
In Venezuela, or with mining in general?
In Venezuela, yeah, just in the whole picture, how mining is changing things, and
okay, I'm confident, Ethan, that 2020 will be the year of mining in Venezuela. I do think that it's going to become top 3, not to say top 1 industry in the country. I mean, the whole economy is going to be based upon cryptocurrency mining, because our economy is currently based only on oil production. And we don't have any way to export oil anymore because of the sanctions and all the blockages that we have right now. And we are proposing a solution to do the same, but internally, without the need to export it. And we have spent the whole year trying to explain this solution to them. And I do believe that they have realized that it's true. We have proved to them that it's possible. And if it continues to be this way next year, I think it's going to become the top 1 industry in the country.
Yeah. Well, Juan, we're coming to the end here, but how can people contact you?
Well, you can contact me via email. My email it's going to be difficult to understand because it's in a Spanish name, Juan Jose at doctorminer.com. And you can also find me on my Twitter handle, even though it's more of a cheat posting account, but I do share good content there, at bchainbtc. That will be my Twitter handle.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, Juan. Yeah.
Thank you.
Very
Thank
informative.
you, God. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah. Thanks for being our guest today, and we'll see you around.
All right.
Thank you. Bye. See you.
We'd like to thank our sponsor again, NovaBlock. They are at novablock.com. They're a mining pool in North America, and they just launched recently. But they are offering a 1.8% permanent reduction in the mining fees. So go to their website, novablock.com, and enter the code after you sign up on the link on the top right-hand side of the corner of the website. Enter the invitation code OFFERED18. That's OFFORD 18.